Hello, everybody. Again, sorry about these technical difficulties earlier, but we are back. Hopefully you can see my face. I plugged into the internet instead of Wi-Fi, so if you can't see me, then Circe put a spell on me, and there we are. This is my true self. You cannot see me. But I'll do introductions again. I am Zoe from Read by Zoe. You are on my channel.
I'm Hannah from A Clockwork Reader.
I'm Haley from Haley and Bookland.
So our bookmarked book of the month for September and October was Circe by Madeline Miller, and Hannah's going to tell us about the book again for all of you who didn't join us for that very short live show right before this.
So Circe is a story that kind of gives you the perspective of the character of Circe from the original Greek myth Odysseus, and it kind of like she in that story, she's a nymph. She's the one who turned his men into swine, and in this story we get her perspective of who she is and why she became the way that she is, and yeah, we just get to see what happened from her side of the story versus Odysseus.
Yeah, before, during, and after the Odyssey. Now, what is everybody's background with Greek mythology, and especially like the Odyssey? Have either of you read the Odyssey? I know we just talked about, okay. I read it in 9th grade. So I remember, I read the condensed version because it was 9th grade, but I really liked it actually. And especially I liked this part of it because the rest of it is just like on the sea and it's just like a lot of journeying. But this part in particular, I remember Circe and being like, oh, interesting. And with Percy Jackson, I know one of the books, they do go to Circe's island and I believe like are turned into pigs or like they see pigs. I don't know. But that was so vivid in my mind when I was reading this. I'm like, oh my gosh, Percy Jackson. And I'm not like the biggest Percy Jackson fan, but this really made me want to go back and read some more of the books. I really want to like read some more Greek mythology right now. So what about you guys?
So I haven't read Odysseus, but I think it was 9th grade for me too. We did like a whole unit on Greek mythology in my English class. And I remember like loving it. I loved it before then because I'd read Percy Jackson and I just really liked Greek mythology a lot. But yeah, we did like an entire unit on it. So we did like papers on specific Greek gods and like specific stories and stuff like that. And I like became really, really fascinated with it after that. So I've just always really liked Greek mythology. And I know a little bit about the story of Odysseus because we read like parts of it. And I do remember some of the stuff from Percy Jackson, but it's been a while. So I was excited to read this because I do love Greek mythology.
I've always been fascinated by mythology, but I find it so incredibly confusing for me.
They're all related and they're all in relationships with one another.
I feel like that meme where it's like that's me the entire time I'm reading anything with mythology. I'm like, I can't sort anything out right now. So I've never read the Odyssey. I just know about it from like my knowledge of mythology comes from what I've had to learn through my English degree. That's what I know about mythology. So I was saying before, I know about the Odyssey as it relates to Shakespeare and how like he used it and pulled from it. Specifically, I feel like with Titus Andronicus was the one where he pulls from the Odyssey, I think. Or maybe it's Ovid's Metamorphosis. I get those two mixed up. But I know that he did like the Odyssey too, but like yeah, they all of it blends together for me. And I find it so incredibly confusing. But like I'm fascinated by it, but my brain just can't wrap around it, unfortunately.
In one of my classes, I think this was 10th or 11th grade, we also read Medea, and Medea's in this as well. And we read Antigone, but Medea, like, for some reason in my brain, I confused Circe and Medea together. So like I picked this up thinking it was going to be like Medea, like the vengeful, like a little bit out there. Like I thought this was going to turn like a weird turn, but we got Medea in here and like really seeing them juxtapose and like seeing them put their different talents to different use. I think that was like, it was really interesting to see so many other Greek myths like show up in here. And like, I can't imagine the level of research she had to do to like find all of the different mentions of Circe and like weave it together into one cohesive story. Because again, like what Haley was saying, Greek mythology, they just like took random characters from like different things and like, he's gonna show up, and then we're just gonna like, it doesn't need to make any sense. Let's just like throw him in here for like a nice cameo. But oh my gosh, Hannah, have you read any other Madeline Miller book?
No, I haven't read Song of Achilles.
Okay, is that the only other one?
Yeah, that's the only other one. No, I haven't read it. Everyone tells me to read it, so I have.
I thought that you had for some reason.
No, I haven't read it.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard amazing things. I actually own that one. I've heard amazing things about the Song of Achilles.
Same. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what you were saying about like the amount of research she probably had to do for this. Like, I think that's one of my favorite things about this. Mm-hmm. Like, if I were to write a book, like that's kind of like what I would want to do. Like something that requires me to like go like search in history or myth or something to like look up like all these different stories to see how they connect. I love that. I love it so much. So I think that's part of the reason I like this so much.
Because, yeah, it's not just like, it's not just a retelling. It's like a collection of different stories compiled together.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like
storyline.
Yeah, it's kind of just like her perspective. Like we've never really gotten her story from her side, like from her perspective. So technically, like you could say it's canon if you wanted to. I like to believe it's canon.
We never actually talked about what our ratings for this are. So, what did you think, Hannah?
I'm pretty sure I gave this 5 stars. I read it in like March or February, so it's been a while, but I really, really love it. So I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars.
What about you?
I think I gave it a 3. I loved the writing. I loved the idea of it. I think it just wasn't for me. People were scandalized when I gave it a 3. I don't know why, but all the time whenever I rate anything a 3 on Twitter, people are like, "Oh my god, cheat!" And I'm like, "No."
Everyone does that. A 3 is not a bad rating.
No, it's like
not.
Average. And for me, like a 3 means that like it either means that it was an average book and it was just okay, it didn't really like wow me, or like it was a good book, it just wasn't for me, like my personal enjoyment. I was kind of bored, and that's just because it didn't mesh with me.
Yeah, I gave it like I think right now gut instinct it would be a 3.5, just because like Haley, like I really liked the idea of it, and like I really could appreciate like all the work that went into it. In the beginning, I was completely sucked in. Like I'm like, this is going to be a new favorite, 5 out of 5 stars. But then like near the ending, I think that a lot of it was like telling us things. I mean, we'll talk about this more when we get to spoilers. Should we just get spoilers? Should we just do that?
Sure.
Okay, all my friends, goodbye. If you haven't read the book. I mean, it's not going to be like too much of spoilers right off the bat. But anyway, like it was a lot more of like telling us what Odysseus did, in my opinion, rather than like showing Circe doing things. And like I think this probably is because she was taking a lot of it from the source material, so she didn't want to like add too much like Circe did this and all of that and like really make it go off the rails. But like I was expecting more action from Circe rather than like analyzing what Odysseus has done, and like I wasn't really connected with his character because we only got a little bit of him. But I really liked like the last paragraph. Like I like how that all wrapped around. Really nice. But I thought it was a really solid book, and I really want to pick up Song of Achilles to see what she did with that one.
I feel like I kind of like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I feel like I kind of like that you don't really connect with Odysseus's character, because I feel like that's the opposite of what the actual story of Odysseus does with Circe. Like you don't really see Circe, like you just are told what she does kind of. And you don't really get to connect with her. And I kind of like that this reversed that trope a little bit. Not trope, but like it just reversed that narrative. And I like that I don't know, personally for me, I actually found the second half of it more interesting than the first half of it. And I liked that you're kind of just like told what happens with him, because like you don't connect with him as much. And like I think that personally, I think that's what she was trying to do with it, but I don't know if that's actually what she was trying to do with it. That's just how I read it.
I can appreciate it from like that standpoint. I just like, I wish we went on more of an adventure rather than like, because I've already read the Odyssey, so like I know what happened. And then I also, like, while I was going, I was like researching Circe, so I'm like, oh, this is gonna happen. I mean, I kind of spoiled it for myself, so that's my fault. And I think it was interesting, like, reading like how the actual myth of Circe went down. Like, it's different in a way from what happened in the end of this book, because like in the end of like the mythology, she made her husband, and I forgot their names, but Odysseus's wife and his son, like, made both of them immortal. So like they're just like living it up on the island. But like that's not how the ending of the book went. I'm like, oh, I like that. But I just wish that there was more like moving it forward, in my opinion. But like I do like that interpretation.
I feel like, I don't know. After this, like, I don't know if I want to read the Song of Achilles. I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of coming to terms maybe mythology isn't for me. I think I just love the idea of mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And like it seems so cool and fascinating to me. But if you ask me a name of this, like, any character who wasn't Circe, I have no clue. They all sound so similar. It just confused me. So then like my brain goes into overdrive and then I start like trying to connect things and then I can't really enjoy the story. So it's definitely a me problem, which like I 100% recognize.
I like that there was like an index at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Very helpful.
I didn't even notice that. Actually.
I'm looking up the characters right now because I don't have my book with me and I don't remember everyone's names. But I
yeah, well, there's also like so many of them.
Yeah. Well, because it incorporates so many different myths.
Yeah.
So many of their names are so similar. And I'm just like, I don't remember who you were. So.
Yeah.
I wonder how many different myths were in this one book, because we had the Minotaur, we had her creating like the monster, we had what's his name? The one who was on the rock. What's his name?
The one who was on the rock?
The like in it.
The one who has to have like push the boulder up the rock?
No, the one who's getting his eyes eaten out.
Oh.
Prometheus. Fire. That one.
Yeah.
Yes. And then obviously we have her being like with the whole swine thing, and then like her getting married and all of that, and like her son, like so much in one book. So thank you to people who are telling me.
Amazing.
But I want to know how much she actually deviated from the original material, because all of it until the ending seemed like it was by the book. Pun intended. But like the ending was not. So I'm not actually sure if my memory is just like failing me, because it seemed like it was all right.
I feel like you'd have to go back and like read all those myths again. Like that's what I kind of wanted to do after I finished it. And I was like, because I don't remember like a lot of the actual facts from a lot of these myths. I just remember bits and pieces of them. So yeah.
Oh, I really want to talk about one of the first stories in here when she turns her true love immortal. That I think that's what was my favorite part of the entire book. Just seeing how like power corrupted him, or like showed his true self, like poignant. But if you were to get your true self, what do you think you turn into?
That's a bit of an intense question.
Yeah. Isn't this a nice casual conversation that we're having? Do you think you would go evil? I don't know. But like, what type of god would you be? Because he like was a sea god, obviously.
I don't know.
We can think about this.
What are my options?
Anything, you're a god.
I mean, like, I like Athena, so like.
Yeah.
God of
cats or something.
You're just covered in fur. Oh my gosh, you look like one of the characters from Cats, the new movie. You look like Taylor Swift with the boobs.
This has gone off in a different direction.
What do you expect from a Bookmarked life?
No, oh my god. No, I like Athena too.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how she was kind of the antagonist of this story.
Oh, I mean, yeah, all the gods are terrible.
Yeah, but like most recently for Greek mythology, I've read like Percy Jackson and stuff like that too, which like paints her as more of a sympathetic figure.
Mm-hmm.
But then you read something like this, and you're like, oh, all of the gods are terrible.
Yeah.
So that's a nice story for the ages.
Yes.
Sapphire ZK says, being Greek and having studied mythology for almost the entirety of my school years, I found the story very true to the original myths and was really surprised by how intricately woven everything was. So that's cool. Like in Greek schools, do you study mythology more prominent? I mean, like that would make sense. We study American history. Do you study like mythology more? That'd be really cool. But nice to know that my memory did not fail, that it's all like pretty by the book. Okay. Do you have other topics you'd like to talk about?
Well, kind of going back on like what you said about the first story in it where she like turns her true love into an immortal. I liked how it kind of, I don't know if like other people read it this way, but this is kind of how I read it, where like the story, obviously it's using like the actual myths and she does have to go in that same chronological order to like be true to the actual story. But I liked that like it kind of started off with like kind of what you expect out of a like main female protagonist in the stereotypical sense of like, oh, she finds her true love and she falls in love and then she gets her heart broken. And then it kind of like goes from there. And then you see how much she develops from like what you expect of like this like generic female main character in this story, or like the way that female characters are often written by like men in stories. And then the way that it like transition or like develops so much into like a very subversive story, because that's why I like the second half so much more, I think, because it's so different. Like I like that there's like no action because so much of it is internal thought, because that's like so subversive to like the traditional hero's journey. But she still has a hero's journey, I think, in a lot of ways. And that's what I really like.
Conflict.
Yeah. And I prefer like internal conflict to external conflict. That's why I like really character driven stories and things that people call like boring or slow paced, because I just like that like internal dialogue and conflict so much more than the external. I just think it's so different and like it's not done as often, and it's when it's done really well, it's really, really good. And I really like that this book did that.
For sure. I don't know. I'm just an external conflict kind of person, which I think is why I like external and internal. I can't really do like just internal because I can't
do just of either one. Like either extreme is.
I mean, I feel like it had a pretty decent mix of both. Like there, through like the middle to the end, there is a decent amount more of like her just dealing with stuff internally, but like all the stuff.
It's because it confused me.
Was it Daedalus? Is it Daedalus?
I don't know. Is he the son anymore?
I don't remember.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Daedalus.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't remember any.
I think it was the part that like she was so shut off from the rest of the world, and I think that was part of it, is that like she didn't move around a lot, and like she didn't like she like kind of reached the peak of her like powers, and I think that there wasn't like much for her to go like externally or like so she focused more on like her son. So like I can see, but I think that was just like she had so much growth like externally in the beginning, and then most of it was just like focused on like growing her son. So but yes,
I think
I really liked
is the son.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Telegonus, I think is the son. I looked it up. I think it's
okay. No, I'm not talking about her son. I'm talking about
Odysseus' son?
Odysseus' son, yeah.
They had really similar names.
They did.
Yeah, everyone's like an us and like, blah. They all sound the same. I don't know.
No, Daedalus was the one who made the labyrinth.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Whatever. Odysseus.
Yeah,
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, there's Telegonus, which was the son of Odysseus and Circe, yes. And then Telemachus.
Telemachus.
Oh my god.
Isn't that kind of gross? I wonder if did she knew his name before she named her own son, so like
She was like, take that. Oh my goodness.
But I really liked her journey of like this is gonna be like really weird, but like I thought of her as like an Enneagram 2 when I was reading this, and I'm like, because she's very like clingy and like possessive, and like all she wants to be is loved, and like her whole journey is just about like finding love in like in the worst places, like trying to find love externally, from obviously people who like don't want to love her back because they're like for their own selfish means, and so she always puts her faith in the wrong people, but then at the end she like finds love in herself, and I'm like, yeah, and like she lets go of her son and lets him live his life, and I'm like, oh, what a journey she went on. But like Telemachus means far thrower / warrior, and Telegonus means born far away. Nice. Oh, so tele is far. Oh, like telescope. Wow.
Amazing.
I'm a genius. Thank you for teaching me things. I really appreciate it. Oh, Reina Torres.
I did not know you could do that.
Oh my God. I didn't think you could do that either.
Like, I know he was older than her son, but also she's immortal.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you can really get into that because then all of this becomes like really messed up and like problematic. But like if you read all of mythology, I don't think they really go by morals. I don't think you can apply that here.
There's no ethics.
There are no ethics. There are no morals. Like it just is not how it works.
But Penelope and Telegonus, they get married too.
Mm-hmm. They hurt players.
Why is Greek mythology like this? Everyone needs to get married because otherwise there'll be too many characters. They just need to intermarry everybody to keep it a little bit ready.
I mean, that's kind of what they did. Everyone just has affairs.
Like that. Mythology. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I like this.
They're doing this as a TV show, eh?
Yeah, I think it's being turned into a TV show.
HBO.
HBO.
Oh,
HBO,
I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I
would watch it.
I'm so excited.
This is like something that I need in front of me so I can visualize it. Because I think it's something I would enjoy more as a TV show or a movie than I would as an actual book. Because then I can see it and I can have like a face to the name almost, and I'm not like, okay, what is happening here?
They all need to wear name tags.
They really do. Like, thank you.
Oh, I just lost the question. Oh no.
Sorry.
Keep on talking. It's okay.
I was gonna say something and I completely blanked.
Here we go. What do you think about Circe's siblings and the dynamics between them? I really enjoyed it because again it was like her putting her love in the people who betray her. So like we have her evil brother with his dragons. There were dragons in Greek mythology? What?
There is everything in Greek mythology.
Yeah. And then her sister ends up being the one who like, I mean, she's still awful, but like she's more there for her than her brother, but not.
I just liked that it was like a grand scale of like sibling rivalry.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was just like you take like any fight you've ever had with your sibling, but like we're gonna put a kraken in the ocean and like now you're gonna have to fight it. Like that's what I liked. That's what I like about Greek mythology. It's just like basic things that every human kind of deals with. Yeah, but then it's like to the extreme.
Yeah.
What a prank.
Yeah.
What a prank. Killing 12 people just for the laugh.
Just for,
Oh my God. No, I think that the sibling relationship was my favorite part of it. Because I found that really fascinating. And like the dynamic was just so dramatic. Like it was like, wow.
it was also
fun to
like
follow.
grounded, and like it was there from like it was a seed planted at the very beginning, and then like it went on. But like the Minotaur, like that story. I learned things. I didn't know the story of the Minotaur before that. So that was interesting. But I really, it's HBO Max, not HBO. Thank you for telling me. I don't know the difference.
What's the
Thank
difference?
you.
Yeah, they made a new one. And it's gonna have that, and I feel like something else that I was excited for is gonna be on there too. So basically they're like 1,500 streaming services at this point.
But wouldn't it still be HBO that's doing it though? They're just doing it on the streaming.
Yeah, but it's a different one of their streaming services. I don't know.
Wait, HBO itself is a streaming service?
Yeah.
They have HBO Go and now HBO Max. But about like the birth scene, I really liked that scene. I thought that was really interesting. The fact that like, I don't know, like Circe was still there for this person who was, I mean, I'm not sure how much of it was her wanting to leave her island. Like, I'm not sure how much of that was just like, yeah, I'm going to take this vacation, bye. I was really expecting it to all be a prank and her not to be able to have left the island, and then she gets like punished even more. But luckily it was just a kraken, eating men. It's fine.
Just casual.
It happens.
But this is very true. Yes, every single person she puts her love in. Every single person. But I mean, isn't that just how it goes? I'm sorry, I'm in a weird mood today. But yeah. I'm so confused about the other brother. I feel like we never got to know him and was just told things he was doing. I don't think he was that important in the journey. He was just supposed to be like teaming up with her sister, and then like that's why she runs to her younger brother. And also like to show that her sister also went through like a lot, and like she felt the need to perform her cruelty. I also thought it was really interesting that like her voice was so shrill because it was a human voice. I think like, was that in the mythology? I had no idea, but it makes sense like why people could connect to her more and why she was able to trick all those men into becoming swine. Nice. Do you have anything else to talk about?
There was something I saw in the comments and now I can't find it. So
nice.
My mind is blank.
Who's your favorite character? Someone's asking. I don't think I can add comments. Like only you can. But Teresa's asking, what's your favorite character from the book?
There you go.
There we go. Thank you. Oh, her icon's so cute.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too. It's
really cute.
Did I have one?
Mine would be Circe, honestly. I found her really interesting.
Mine's definitely Circe.
Yeah, I feel like she's the only really sympathetic figure.
Which was interesting to have like an entire book where you really have only one character that you can kind of be sympathetic for.
Well, because I think it really puts you in her shoes.
Yeah,
I think, and that's what I like. Yeah.
Yeah. And show like how
like the writing was fantastic. I did really like that.
It was really nice to be able to like to connect with such like a figure and make it both like set in mythology, like set in that ancient time, but also like make it more modern. I love Prometheus, but what is new? Yeah.
Someone said that I said Circe because I can't remember anyone else. Which is like true, but she's also the only one who stuck with me, so she is my favorite.
No, I like Daedalus too. I think he was a really interesting figure. Like he was just ridden with guilt the whole time, and then like his life was just as tragic as Circe's, but in a different way, like losing his son. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, I would love to read a Medusa retelling as well.
Oh, that'd be so great.
I
need Madeline Miller to do it.
Yeah,
she
I'm surprised they didn't like she wasn't in this book. Like, I'm surprised that they never crossed paths in Greek mythology.
I feel like there was one part where she was mentioned.
What?
But
she probably was, because like everyone was mentioned at some point.
I swear there was a part where she was mentioned, but I did read it a while ago, so I could be making that up. But I think there was at least one part where she was mentioned. They didn't like interact. Yeah.
I would love that, because I feel like the only time we've had Medusa is in that terrible Percy Jackson movie.
Yeah.
It's the only time I've ever seen her on screen. Uma Thurman. Oh, with her cool glasses.
Was it Uma Thurman?
It was Uma Thurman.
Oh, that makes me hate it even more.
Why?
Do not ask me why I hate her. She's like never done anything, but okay. The reason is because in 7th grade, I had to watch this movie, Gattaca, if you've ever seen Gattaca.
I have seen Gattaca.
And Uma Thurman was in that movie, and I was like, I hate this movie, so I hated Uma Thurman. That's the only movie I've ever seen with her.
It makes sense. I see the logic.
We watched it in biology class, so like I think that's why I have fond memories, because we didn't have to do any work. We just watched Gattaca.
I want Madeline Miller to write Medusa. I want her to write Antigone, and I want her to write Persephone.
Yeah, so
I feel like those would be great.
Yeah, no one just said it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like Persephone's like, she's talked about more than I think a lot of other characters.
And I feel like Madeline Miller does like the kind of
obscure
underground ones more, but I feel like, I don't know, Persephone is just so fascinating.
I feel like we've got a lot of retellings of Persephone, but I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of like exploring her actual character, because we've got a lot of like, I mean, like, because it's in a way, it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast, like being like traded. Yeah. So like we've gotten a lot of that, and I want to know like how terrible Hades is. Thank you.
I would kill for Antigone though. That would be great.
I loved that play.
Me too.
In class.
Antigone's amazing.
What about the lotuses? Was that in this one? I don't remember anything anymore. Oh my gosh.
Oh, someone also said, I want her to write about Helen of Troy. I agree. That would be great.
Oh. Ooh, who would you cast as Circe?
So then I can read these things. I'm confused. Who do you cast as Circe?
You need someone like young-ish, because she doesn't age.
I feel like I just like can't picture her face. Like every time I think of immortals, I'm like, you just are an immortal.
Yeah.
You don't look like a certain
yellow
way
eyes. Yeah, she's yellow eyes. That's all I know. But not even like golden eyes. They're just yellow. So find someone with yellow eyes, and there you go.
Colored contacts.
No contact. No, we have to find someone with yellow eyes.
Okay, let's check out. An easy task.
All right. I think yes, immortal.
She doesn't age. She's immortal.
True. Betty White is the Kraken.
Oh, how about Uma Thurman?
Okay, bye.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Okay. If you have any questions about the book, I feel like we covered a lot of the ground that I wanted to cover. Oh, if you had to pick a different genre for Madeline Miller to write, what would you want it to be? I don't know.
Historical fiction, I feel like, but this is like...
It's like in a way historical fiction.
Yeah.
I'd love I'd
love a fantasy book from her.
Yeah.
I think she could do that.
Yeah.
Because this is fantastical.
Yeah.
But it's not like I want her to create like a whole new world. It'd be really interesting. Because I'm sure it would be like inspired. I know you're gonna do that.
You left it open. Yeah, no, I think she would write a really cool fantasy. If she created her own world, I'd be very interested to see what it was like. And I'm sure you could like find a lot of mythology based things in the world if she were to write her own fantasy.
I have a random question.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not about the book specifically, but more broadly about Greek mythology. What's your favorite Greek myth? Or like, it doesn't have to be your all-time favorite, but just like one of your favorites.
I have Persephone. She has like her own myth, right?
Yeah. Like they
yeah.
each have like their own story. So yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Every single thing I've ever read.
Well, I know, like there's so many of them too. I just know that Persephone is one that like has really stuck out with me. I don't really know why, but that one has always interested me.
I really liked Medea.
Which one is Medea?
That's the one that she like goes a little bit insane. That's not a great term, but like
goes a little bit insane.
What? Hold on, I'm looking it up. Medea. Oh, it's also in the back of this book. But yeah, she's the niece of Circe. She's okay.
Oh, I also like Icarus.
Yeah, I like the one. I like the Minotaur too. Now that I know what it's about. I mean, do I like it? I don't. It's interesting. Yeah, she's another sorceress, but and she marries Jason in the Argonauts. If you know that. Oh, is Hannah frozen? Hello?
Yeah, she's frozen for me too. Is she frozen here?
Yeah. Oh no. She looks really shocked in her face.
She does look shocked. She looks incredibly shocked. Is she frozen like on the actual live though? Oh yeah, she is.
Yeah. Hi,
Hannah. She asked us a lovely question and then just dipped.
Yeah.
I don't know where she went.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she just texted us.
Yeah.
She can't see us.
Oh no. Oh no, now it's just us. Maybe she'll come back. But anyway. Medea is the daughter of King Aeetes of Colchis and niece of Circe. She was a witch like her father and aunt, and when Jason came to claim the Golden Fleece, that's when the Golden Fleece comes together, she used her powers to help him seize it on the condition that he would marry her and take her back with him. The two fled, but Aeetes pursued them. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Is she back?
I'm reading.
Oh, we made it!
My Wi-Fi completely cut out.
Oh no! It was like you looked so shocked.
You were frozen, like, oh.
You were like appalled and shocked. It was amazing. Oh,
great!
Oh my god! You were cute.
Jason, she married or like helped Jason get the Golden Fleece on the condition that he would marry her. The two fled, Aeetes pursued them, and only through a bloody trick could Medea keep her father at bay. She killed some people. Her story is told in a number of ancient and modern works, including Euripides' famous tragedy, Medea. But, oh, I loved that so much. Mm. Oh, Narcissus, too, someone said.
Narcissus is good. I really like Cupid and Psyche, because that one just, like, vividly stuck out to me. I remember learning about that. And then... what are their names? Something and Thisbe. Is her name Thisbe? Pyramus and Thisbe? Yeah. The one that Romeo and Juliet's based off of.
Yeah.
I love that one. I don't know why. Like, I just remember reading when we first, like, learned about that. I remember the whole, like, oh, what was it? They were, like, in a cave, and then there was, like, a lion, and then there was something about, like, a red cape or something like that. And then the lion, or, like, one of them thought the other one was dead because they thought the lion killed them. I don't remember. It's basically Romeo and Juliet. So then they killed themselves.
The crack in the wall. Is that the one that there's like a crack in the wall and they're like talking?
Yes.
Oh
no. Is that Cupid and Psyche?
No, I thought it was this.
I don't remember. Maybe I mixed them up. I literally haven't read this since I was in.
It's this.
Okay. Okay. I haven't read this since I was in freshman year of high school. I just remember those two. But yeah.
Someone said that Hannah looked like she saw a basilisk. Okay. Hold on. If Circe was a character in another book, which one would it be? Or which one would you like to see her in?
I don't know. I don't like putting characters in other books.
No, they belong in their own book.
In Star Wars. notes on a book, but I want to put her in like the weirdest circumstances and just see how she would fare because she'd be
Love
great.
that for her. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any last minute questions for this? Because I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. And
Sorry, someone said she looked like she saw Medusa. Little do you all know, I was acting that entire time. It was just.
I love that.
Yeah. Taking it very seriously. Thank you.
You blurred your screen too. So.
I did.
Yeah.
Dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
Did we decide what our next book of the month is going to be?
We have a ninth house. Yes.
Idea?
We're not sure when we're going to be able to have the live show because Hannah's like moving and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it'll happen when it happens. Thanks for your
figure it out. Yeah, we'll keep you guys updated with that.
But I got the oh, that was loud. Not the fancy UK.
You got the pretty one? I didn't get that one.
It's real nice. And it's signed and stuff, but isn't it?
Oh,
that's nice.
It is nice.
Yeah. And then it's signed.
Oh,
it's not mirrored. I hate it's not mirrored screen.
I know.
I'm very
good.
intrigued. Oh, look at your fancy
literally on
art.
The bottom of the pile. Mine's just an average copy.
But then we have 3 different ones. It's great. So yes, thank you so much for hanging out with us today, even through our technical difficulties up the wazoo. But thanks for your patience with everything. And we hope to see you in the future with our 9th house live show. We'll keep you updated on when that will be, but it'll be sometime in the new year. So thank you. Goodbye. Good luck.
Good luck.
Bye.